Selena. It's a bad baby. Oak Cliff girl. Can't make you change my world. Damn, you're so fine, girl. Oak Cliff girl. Put them heels on and prove.
Welcome to Selena's Couch, where you are welcome to be free to be yourself. So you can lay your head on my couch, on my pillows.
We can do whatever we want to do now. I'm in my bag right now, and I got a feeling, babe. Yeah, you're gonna be my number one lover. Spend the night making love to each other. With the lights on top of the covers. Just me and you, babe. And I feel like you're my
Love you to Reese's Pieces.
Get you a word. Nana nana boo boo.
Hello. I am enjoying my Saturday. I hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday as well. Definitely enjoyed my Friday. I said, let me go live. And I'm gonna, after I finish my live, I'm getting ready for another Christmas party that I'm going to tonight. So I just want to this was a really interesting topic to me. I will finish why are black women the last to marry probably tomorrow. I'm gonna do a part 2 on that. But I definitely saw this on Karina Lord, and she is she's Haitian American, and she was talking about this young lady who's a porn star. Her name is Lily Phillips, and she does a lot of content on what is that that a lot of people go to look at different, kind of adult activity. I'm gonna say she's OnlyFans. She's an OnlyFans model, not model, but she's an entertainer. Her goal was to sleep with 100 men in one day. And without being judgmental, I want to be objective, but I have to ask the question, why would you want to put your body through all of that? What happened to you to make you want to demean yourself that way, to deal with any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and be able, give people your body like that you don't know. And it's a lot of the times it's more common than we think. Just like the things when we talked about the marriage and what happens in marriages, it can be very strange why people do the things that they do with their body. And again, I don't want to be judgmental of people, because you don't know what trauma people have went through. And some people have a high sex drive and they enjoy sex, right? There's nothing wrong with having a high sex drive and enjoying sex. But I do believe sometimes when you just give your body to anyone, and you feel nothing about it, it's just that you're numb while doing it. That is a bigger issue than you may think. Porn is said to, I'm gonna show a video on Jordan Peterson, that porn does affect the mind in some capacities, and he's going to explain that, what it does to the mind. And I'm thinking about what does porn do to the spirit? That's kind of what I want to know. And with any addiction, it could be alcohol addiction, it could be drug addiction, it could be porn addiction, it could be any addiction that destroys your body. And it really, you're right, Matt, it really weakens not only your body but your spirit. Too much of one thing is not always good. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have a balance in life, I think. I'm not telling anybody not to watch. So let me do a disclaimer. Your beliefs are not my beliefs. My opinions are not your opinions, and your opinions are not mine. We can agree to disagree. I am not saying that people should stop watching porn. If that's what you want to do with your life, if that's what you enjoy doing in your spare time, or whether you're with your, significant other, that's your business. I don't have nothing to do with that, and I stay out of all of it. But I know for me, that's not something that I engage in. Just like anybody, I have saw porn before. And this audience is for 18 and plus. I have saw a porn movie before. When I was a teenager, I had a friend to bring one over, and she was just showing me what her brothers were watching, and and we watched it in a few, a little bit of it, and the whole time I was embarrassed. And number one, we were still, thank you, Russell, we were still watching to see if my daddy was gonna come in the house. We was in my room, but hey, we had it real low. And when I saw it, even then when I was younger, I was just like, I couldn't see myself. Like, I don't see how women do that. I don't see how men do that. Be on camera and doing it. Hey, Tay, how are you? Good to see you. Uh, and I was just kind of like appalled. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for them. So I wasn't a Miss Goody Two Shoes, but it was just some things I just wasn't into. So, hey, Miss Marilyn. So when I see the effects that maybe it does to the people in the porn industry, a lot of people that are in that industry, they unalive themselves. They do a lot of self-harming because of the torture that they go through mentally, having to putting themselves with different people and going through different situations just to make money. And they do it, and it's like it's mechanical. It's nothing natural about it. If you've ever seen, I was looking at a documentary on Netflix. I love documentaries, and it was talking about how porn stars, how they go about the filming and things of that nature. It's very mechanical. They have to stop, then they have to start again. It's just like with the movie. If you make a mistake, you have to start over. It's like you got to take one, you got to take two. Sometimes you may be taking 100 times, stopping and going. And it's very mechanical, and it's very wear and tear on the body as well. So many porn stars now they're a little bit more I would say cautious of making sure that people are tested um, than they did back in the day. But still, there has been people that have caught sexual transmitted diseases, even HIV or AIDS. So it is very taxing on the body, and I'm sure it's very taxing on the spirit. So I'm going to show you this. If you see this girl, her name is Lily Phillips. Very nice looking Caucasian young lady. She is telling her story. She's doing a interview with this guy. He's asking her questions, and at first, if you could see, she's very confident. She's like, oh, some people, they come off very confident. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sex. Just to really find out when you keep talking to them, it's something is missing. It's a void there. It's something that's like, well, there's some shame there, but they act as if it's not any shame. They very prideful. They're very happy with what they're doing. They enjoy it. But then there's something that breaks down, and you start to see the person for who they are. And then you start saying, you see the person as a person and not just a sex object. Hey, Sassy, good to see you. Hope I spoke to everybody that came in. I had to do my long introduction and give my disclaimer. So again, I'm not telling anybody what to do with their sexual life. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not telling anybody not to watch porn. That is your business. Hey, Joe, how are you? I'm not telling anybody not to watch porn or to watch porn. I am just putting the information out there. This is something that, hey, Tanya, this is something that people do not talk about all the time, especially in certain sectors. It's all about the beef. It's all about all this other crap that, celebrity news. Like I said, sometimes I'll cover it, sometimes I won't. It's not really important to me. But I thought this was something interesting. I'm going to share this again. Her name is Corrine Allure. She's very good content creator, and she is Haitian American. She was covering this, and I like a lot of her topics that she covers. She thinks outside of the box, and I really like that.
Have you done anything to make sure there's not someone with a criminal record, for example, coming down?
So let me give you an example. Let me give you a back story to this. She is going to do. She's going to have sex with 100 men in one day, right? So she's going through taking applications from each one of these men, and they have to have their photocopy of their ID to their face, and they have to take a picture to clarify that they are of age and that this is the person that they are, right? So this is how her application process. So this documentary is going to be interviewing some of the men, and some of these men still live at home. So I don't know if they're old enough. They're probably old enough, of course, because they have to be of age, because she made it very clear you had to see the ID. So some of these men still live at home. Some of these men are not. Some of these men could be married. Who knows? But all of these men are coming to do an application so that they can sleep with this one lady. And then her next goal is to sleep with 1,000 men in one day. So let's see what type of mindset this young lady has and how she feels that this is okay. And again, I want to be objective as much as I can, but sometimes my bias and my opinions will come out. I just can't understand how anybody can just do that to their body. And it makes me not judgmental of her, but it makes me really sad for her. It makes me have compassion over her, because even though she's grown, she knows what she's doing. She's an adult, so she knows what she's doing. She has free will. But what kind of pain, what are you missing in your life that you feel like this is going to validate you and make you feel great about yourself? That's just the question that I would ask her.
We actually have not now.
This is where the applications are coming through.
Where the guys are messaging.
I never really think about things before I do them, so I've just kind of do them and then think, oh, was that okay?
So that's how most people think. It's like they don't think about it. I'm just gonna do it and see how it goes.
How long have you known or been a fan of Lily Phillips?
Since the beginning, I would say.
Did you ever think you'd be able to have
No, never.
And today you did?
Yes.
You know how many guys have gone before you?
Nobody.
Yeah, like cut Bob.
Oh no. Yeah, well, oh no. I was full.
Are you happy you did it?
Yeah, I'm just the rubbish I need for him to find out. My dog took me off 48.
Ready?
Yeah.
When was the last time you ate?
I think I had a yum yum.
So this was moments, if you cannot see it, after Lily Phillips has slept with 100 men in one day. So he's asking her, what did she eat in all of this time that, she was having sex?
And I think I had a sandwich, and that was and then the rest. It's not for the weak, girls. If I'm honest, it was hard. I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very it's kind of like being a pro in a sense of it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it.
It's not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out. It feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
So why do you think she's crying? Do you think that it's because she, hey Cece, she is experiencing shame? Why do you think she's crying? Um, she went through the whole process of sleeping with 100 men, and I think she felt like she was going to get some satisfaction, some gratification from it, just to find out she is just as empty as she was before.
That is.
Sorry.
Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute. I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this. And like, it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal things at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember. And that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know? But yeah. I think that was kind of the hard part, is like conversing with them, and like when they'd kind of be like, oh, like we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah.
It's Denise.
And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
But it's up to you, right? Like when you know.
Yeah.
Have you even processed, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. God, I won't forget this day, Jesus.
When I decided to start making this documentary, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to see Lily so upset at the end of it all.
So this is a young lady. You know, like I said, she's a very pretty young lady, but there's definitely a person that it has a lot of regret. And I believe when she ever lives to get older, she will have even more of regret. You know, what we do with our bodies is our business, right? And it's our choice. But a lot of the times when we look back at our life, we're going to do some of us may have some regrets on how we gave our body away like that. Our body is very valuable. And again, I don't tell people what to do with their bodies. That's on them. But I believe that we have so many examples of people getting in type of this, I would say, dangerous behavior, because this young lady could catch anything and it could take her on out of here, you know, or if she wanted to live, you know, be a wife and have a children, it could affect her from having children, depending on the sexual transmitted diseases, because there is some sexual transmitted diseases that will stop you from having children. There's another adult star that she slept with 500 men, and she was on Howard Stern a few years ago. Let's see if I can get that clip.
I see. So you said, hey, let me do some wild.
Right.
And then when I go out and strip, I'll get a lot of money.
Right.
Right. So it's a money proposition for you.
No, it's not about the money.
No?
No.
Well, it is. I mean, you like getting paid, right?
Way to make it.
You do love, and you love sex. You really love the idea of having 500 greasy guys from the street?
Yeah, pretty much. It's
do.
It's a challenge.
It is.
Yeah.
And you will perform oral as well as intercourse, right?
Yes, I will.
You will.
And it was all filmed, and it was 500 in the same day, just taking turns, like 30 seconds each. And, you know, these women do end up having a lot of mental issues later on in life. And Netflix have documentary on life after Corn ends, where it documents why a lot of stars in the entertainment industry that deals with adults, how they end up taking their own lives later on and end up in substances. And there's rarely any rehabilitation for them. It's rare. It's rare that some will survive. I believe another one was Shirley Lubin. Forgive me, I'll put the name on screen if I'm forgetting it. But she even got out, went and started preaching to people, doing missionary work, speaking to young girls to not get into that life. But unfortunately, it all came still crashing down for her, and she passed away on an overdose. So it's extremely difficult to get out. Even when some of them do put their foot out there, their self-worth, they have to bring all the way back up.
As soon as the camera started rolling.
Let me ask you this question, guys, and I'm gonna have an open panel for this. Hey, Genesis. Hey, Cam, good to see you. Hey, who else came in? Larry, good to see you, Larry. I want to ask you guys, where does sex start for you? Does it start in the mind? Because a lot of people don't realize sex starts in the mind first. We visualize things and then we put it into action, right? With our partner, significant other. And with that, we're sharing fluids, we're sharing all sweat, kisses, saliva, we're sharing everything, right? When you're in that intimacy with the person. But what people don't tell you, when it's so many people that you have slept with, and I'm just saying, just random people, you want some, you got to have it. And with different types of people, it really starts to play on people's mental. And this is what they call soul ties, how we actually transfer not only the different spirits, we transfer different energies with each other. And it really affects our mental health at times. And like I said earlier, a lot of the, I'm gonna say corn, hey Slim, corn stars, adult stars, they do have a lot of mental issues, and they end up either self-harming themselves, unaliving themselves, because they cannot take all of the regrets, all of the things that they did. So this really affects people more than what we think. And it also affects people that watch it regularly. They can't even really sometimes have real relationships with their partner because they're always comparing their partner with someone that is not even real. Like the porn scenes are mechanical. They're something like, okay, cut. Okay, now we're gonna start again. It's just, you're lusting after women that don't look anything like your partner, and then you compare that partner to that porn star. Sometimes, now some people can separate the two. I'm not saying that they can't, but I think sometimes when your life is just focused on looking at adult entertainment, you forget the meaning of what being with a person, true intimacy is with the person that you love, and you look at it's just in a lustful eye rather than something that is supposed to be sacred. I mean, I'm just saying. So again, hey Richard, how are you? So it's just something to be mindful of. I'm going to share with you. Her name is Shirley Lubin. And this was years ago. I believe, like Kareem said, that she is no longer with us. I think she ended up having a overdose because a lot of these people, when they do go into that lifestyle, they get hooked on different type of, drugs and alcohol. And even though they might break it for a little bit, break that habit, that addiction, they go from one addiction to the other. They go from the porn addiction, then they go to the alcohol or the drugs. And then sometimes that alcohol or those drugs end up taking these people out of here. She ended up overdosing a few years ago, but at one point she did want to change her life. She ended up getting married. She ended up, preaching and becoming a believer. She had 3 girls. So she was living the life that she never thought she would live because, she was in that lifestyle. So I'm going to share with you her story.
It's like Satan came to me and says, It's almost like I could see the devil say, see, Shelley, everyone will love you now. I'll make you famous.
Shelley Lubin even won an award for Best New Rising Star, but her claim to fame came with a high price.
It was destroying me. I lost my femininity. I lost any piece of Shelley on the... I loved God so much. He used to talk to me all the time when I was little. I used to write poetry about him. I used to walk around and preach the gospel. Anyone who would listen.
As a child, Shelley gave her heart to Jesus Christ and hoped to become a preacher and a writer. Shelley's view of love crumbled the day her innocence was stolen.
When I was 9 years old, I was violated by a teenage boy and his sister, which was my classmate. And I think carrying that around as a child, you don't know what to do with that emotionally. I was curious about, and it made me feel.
So she was molested by a friend and her brother. And a lot of the times when sexual abuse happens to young women or young men, they carry a lot of shame with them. And sometimes when they carry the shame, they either go into being promiscuous or they go into being a hermit, one or the other. They have a hard time enjoying sex because of the memory of the molestation or the sexual abuse. So that is something to be mindful of when you have children. Please make sure that you can't protect them for everything, but try to make sure their friends, their parents. I wouldn't allow my kids to do no sleepovers, even with some family members, because you just never know. Everybody doesn't raise your child the way you do. So you have to be very watchful of your children and some of their activities, because you just never know what is going on.
Feel love, but at the same time, it felt dirty. So I just struggled with so much. So by the time I was a teenager, I just acted out.
By the time she turned 18, her parents had had enough. She was on her own and desperate for cash.
A nice man walked over to me, and then he put his arm around me. He says, there's a man in the apartment complex who thinks you're real pretty, and he wants to make love with you, and you can make $35. I went, oh, I was horrified. I mean, I'd had intercourse before, but I had never myself. But then a part of me was like, you know what? I have no food. My parents don't care. God doesn't care. Why not? Because you know what? I don't care about myself anymore. And so I ended up being lured into industry that way. Never lost my faith in him, but I felt like I lost my trust in him. I felt like I couldn't trust anyone, and I needed to do what I needed to do. That was how I justified it. And someone says, why don't you do? I said, and they said, yeah. I said, I never even thought about that. Do you know that they pay you like $2,000 for a movie? I said, for one movie? I said, well, how hard can it be? It's probably just like, it's legal, and I wouldn't go to jail. So that really appealed to me.
But what Shelley didn't know is the price she would have to pay as a...
Right when I walked in, it's like this satanic, dark anointing just fell on me. It was creepy. It was dark. It was eerie. It was nothing like, and it was like, I knew that I was in the devil's territory. This was like the final frontier of Satan.
Shelley went through with it, and her career took off. And money became addictive. Behind the scenes, she fell apart. During her darkest moments, Shelley felt God's love reaching out to her.
He used to come in the room and go, please don't do this. He really did.
Even sensing God's spirit before she would go before the cameras.
I said, Shelley, please don't do this. I said, well, you're not taking care of me. I'm good at this. They love me. They think I'm great. And my parents don't care. And God, you don't care. And Jesus says, I care. I bear it on the cross for you. I've already paid for all this. I'll forgive you. And I said, how can you forgive me? I've done so much.
She caught a transmitted disease and quietly left the film industry.
I met my husband, Garrett.
I was kind of at a low point in my life where I started using. And when I met Shelley, here was this person who kind of, met me where I was at. And we were just best buds. Talks of the Lord and Jesus when we were younger started developing into a stronger friendship and ultimately realizing that, hey, this thing is going in a whole different direction.
Together, Shelley and Garrett turned back to Jesus, and he helped them clean up their lives. God miraculously healed her incurable transmitted disease, but her emotional recovery took much longer. She struggled to learn how to be a wife and mother to her 3 girls. She searched the Bible for answers.
I really started looking at God as a father, not some meat God up in the sky with a scepter saying, follow the rules or you're in big trouble. God became a father to me. I had to forgive everybody because I blamed everybody for everything. And so God taught me about forgiveness because, see, he forgave me. How can I not? This is part of my nature to cast down any negative thoughts.
Shelley has also forgiven herself, and she's put the past behind her for good.
It took me years to practice that because you can imagine I had a lot of thoughts that I had to cast down. Satan was like, here's a movie, here's a movie, here's a scene, here's a scene. I had to choose God's word.
Shelley shares the freedom she found in Christ with her daughters and the world.
God says to me, not 1 ounce of your pain will be wasted. I work all things together for good, Shelley. Jesus is faithful to me in everything.
unfortunately, like I said, she did ended up losing her life. And you know, she had a drug overdose. So just remember, when you know these people go through these things, it does a lot of emotional damage to them. And when I think about, hey Martin, before I start judging people, I try to realize that there's somebody's child. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody's sister, somebody's brother, somebody's you know, auntie or mother. Like, people just don't do stuff just because. There's a lot of pain, a lot of hidden trauma that people just put in the back of their minds and think, oh, it's over with, I'm not dealing with that, but it still affects them to this day. And then they go into different lifestyles that end up being more detrimental to them. And that's why I try not to be so judgmental of people, because you don't know what people have gone through. You don't know how it takes a person to be so numb that they can just allow their body to be mistreated like that. So you got to be careful about, well, I wouldn't do that. That's nasty. Okay, yeah, it might be to you, and it you know, or whatever. And I'm not debating that. But don't be so quick to judge people on, you know, what people have dealt with and the reason why they are the way they are. I'm going to share another one with you. It's the dark side of the porn industry. So I'm going to go and play this.
During my short stint in porn, the really extreme acts were what was popular, and that's why, being the #1 performer in the industry at the time, everyone wanted to make money off me, so they pushed me to do these things. And it just gets really extreme, like you were saying, abusive. I don't want to go into too much detail. Like, honestly, some of my experiences are really humiliating for me, and I wish that they never happened. There's stuff going on, like people getting pissed on. Men are pissing inside of women's vaginas, assholes, down their throats. They're sorry. Oh, don't cry.
So just like the other young lady was crying about it. So this is something, yeah, regardless of how they think at first, they're prideful of it. They're happy that they're making good money. This really affects people emotionally. And I need to find a male, former male porn star to see the effects that has happened to him from this particular industry. But most of these stories do not end up well for people that are in the porn industry. And you have to understand, you have to wonder, why is it that way?
I've lost my whole family and it sucks. So a lot of times when people ask me if they should do porn, I tell them no. I tell them that it makes life really hard. It makes dating really hard. It makes your family life really hard. It makes intimacy hard. You're putting yourself out there and the world is now judging you. You have to be okay with being shamed every day of your life. I don't even want to have children because I do porn, because I'm worried of the way that people will treat my child. With me personally, my mom was supportive in the beginning. She kind of just let me do whatever, that I think it was a good thing. I had a lot of freedom. As time progressed and I became successful, I started to feel like my mom was using me so that she could live a more luxurious lifestyle. When I started to set like these boundaries, not giving her money or things like that, it made our relationship a bit more difficult and almost toxic. And so it sucks. I don't have a mom anymore. I don't talk to her. I miss having a mom. I feel like you can't rewind and you can't go back. I don't have that relationship with her anymore. I don't ever think I will. And that bums me out. Bums me out a lot. I talked to my dad, and he struggles with my job being in the industry. He's also religious. Recently, I wanted to go visit him, and he said that I can't go visit because his wife, my stepmom, doesn't want me there. I'm not allowed to go visit my dad anymore because my stepmom doesn't like that I do porn. But then he told me that when I was like, can we like go get coffee and like we could go get breakfast? And he's like, I don't want to be seen in public with you. And that just hurt so bad. And it sucks. I lost my family. I don't talk to like my brothers or sisters. I think that they all kind of like try to take advantage of me and stuff, or they're just like, my dad don't want to be around me.
That's not how it was. It wasn't just, hey, do you want to come do porn? It was more so, oh, you're beautiful. Like, would you like to do some modeling? Oh, you have a great body. Like, I think you'd be great in nude modeling, things like that. And after I came and toured the studio, it was very respectable. It was a gorgeous location. It was in Miami, in Doral, Florida. It was clean. Everyone who worked there was nice. All of their cubicles were decorated with family photos. Like, it was nothing dodgy or that made me uncomfortable. And after the first time I went in wasn't the first time I filmed a porn movie. It was the second time. The first time was more so, do you want to do this? Like, sign the paperwork, et cetera, et cetera.
So these guys, they just saw you, frankly, as a money machine.
Absolutely.
But you still had no advisors, you had no lawyer, you had no nothing. So
what 21-year-old has a lawyer on retainer?
I'm just trying to get my head around how stressful this must have been, and whether even now, because you sit here so poised, and obviously a lot of time has passed and you've moved on, but do you think there is some sort of post-traumatic stress that is in you from this experience?
Yes, and I think it kicks in mostly when I go out in public, because the stares I get, I feel like people can see through my clothes, and it brings me deep shame. It makes me feel like I lost all right to my privacy, which I did, because I'm one Google search away.
Yeah.
It's days like this where I realize I need to go play with myself for a living. I just ate. I'm tired. And then I think to myself, maybe a 9-to-5 won't be so bad, I know you don't feel sorry for me, but after 4 years, my clit just sits there. It's like, please, man, no more. Not again. Just like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bury the pain.
So, as you can see, it's just a lot of regret. Now this is, I believe, a male porn star. Let's see.
And around it went. What pornography did to me was it changed how I thought and felt about women. I began to look at them even more so as a sexual object. I lost the ability to have a loving and caring relationship. I thought I was still able, and I was fooled. One day, I left the set. I was done for the day. Got in my car, started it up, drove 2 blocks, pulled over and turned it off. And I started to cry. I wanted out so bad. I wanted to get off that merry-go-round.
See, what most people want, if they're, I would say they are normal. And when I say normal, I mean a human being that wants the basic needs of love, acceptance, and, somebody to hear you out, what they want is love. And somehow they get confused with the sex part. The sex sometimes confuse what love really is. And as you can see, this man, and forgive me, he's not a porn star. He was just a man that watched porn. What we really want is love. What we really want is somebody to know us, to see us, to hear us. That's what we really want in real life as a real human being, not a robot. But sometimes when we have some things that have happened to us and we get caught up in certain addictions, like something sexual addiction, like watching porn, which is very robotic, we get confused and our vision and our perception becomes distorted because of what we are seeing. So a lot of the times what we really want is distorted because of the things that we are seeing, and we are getting our minds trained to see all of the time. Again, I'm not telling anyone not to watch porn. That is your personal preference on what you want to do. But I'm just showing you some of the things, the downsides of doing that, and how it does affect the brain, how it affects you from having a loving relationship, if that's what you really want. You're living in a fantasy, and your fantasy is not matching up with your reality. So this is what this man is going through. And I'm pretty sure he has had some women that may have came in his life that wanted to be in a loving relationship with him. But because he only saw women as a sex object and nothing else, nothing more, he maybe have missed out on some loving relationships, the true intimacy between partners because of the fantasy of porn. So those are some of the things that you will see. I'm going to finish this one.
It's the last movie I ever made. And I never went back. I changed my life.
I was earning a lot of money and I was struggling to pay my rent because I had a really, really bad drug addiction. I would spend thousands and thousands of dollars on drugs a week because I started off with cocaine, but then eventually I was battling with a heroin addiction. You could tell that I just was super high. My eyes look all glossy. So I was also battling with severe suicidal thoughts.
It took Brittany more than one attempt to leave porn, but in the end, it was religion that gave her the final push she needed.
I started going to church and I went to go film a porn scene in Las Vegas, and I brought my Bible, and on the airplane, I open up Revelation 2:20 and it says, I have this thing against you. You tolerate that woman named Jezebel and she leads my people into sexual immorality. I've given her time to repent, and if she doesn't repent, I will cast her children and her into a sick bed. And I was just like, oh my goodness. I was like, God, I'm so sorry.
Like I said, it destroys some people, and some people, they come out and they start to live productive lifestyles. So it just depends on the makeup of a person and their choices. Some of us make wise choices, some of us not so much wise choices. I think it's Gianfranco Martinez. Gianfranco. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm going to sub up to him. He has some good content. If you would like to check the rest of the video out, it is the dark side of the porn industry they don't want you to know. And forgive me, I misspoke. The man also was a porn star as well. So you got the perspective of a male and, mostly women. A lot of women come out with their stories more than some men, even though there are some men that talk about their situation, their experiences in the porn industry. I'm just going to, I'm going to share with you guys, see Dr. Jordan Peterson's, when he talks about the porn and OnlyFans is worse than you think. And then I'm going to go on to some of the people that were in the industry that are no longer with us, so that you can see some faces. Some people already know. Hey, Mika, I already know who some of these people are. I don't know, some of the stars and stuff like that, but it's more people than we think that are going through these things. Let's see.
You're the wolf, that's for sure. Oh, that's for sure. And a wolf to yourself, too. So, when you see this ambivalence on the left, because on the one hand, anything goes and all forms of sexuality are to be like celebrated, worshipped, essentially, because celebration and worship are the same thing. Yet sex is so dangerous, especially between like members of a young heterosexual pair, that absolutely every single bit of it has to be regulated right to the last word. It's like, well, licentiousness breeds tyranny. That's why the whore of Babylon is on the great scarlet beast of the state at the end of time.
Tell me exactly what that means when you break it down.
Well, imagine that when masculinity degenerates, the state pathologizes. The patriarchy pathologizes. Well, what happens to female? They pathologize too. Well, how do they pathologize? In the direction of disinhibited sexuality. So 35% of internet traffic is pornographic.
Yeah, but that's not driven by women. That's driven by men.
It's driven by bloody women too.
Whoa.
Parading themselves. Absolutely. It might be like there's no shortage of electronic pimps and desperate engineers, let's say, but that doesn't mean the women who engage in that are innocent by any stretch of the imagination. They're doing the same thing with their sexuality that people granted the talent of intelligence do with their gift. Look,
we all know that most women can be very manipulative and be very seductive. And because, heterosexual men love beautiful women, sexy women, women know in the industry how to draw them to their page or draw them to their content, because men love beauty. Men are visual creatures. They might marry somebody that looks totally different, but what they lust after, what they desire and want to sleep with, is someone that is very seductive, very beautiful, very shapely, what they deem to see as beautiful. I'll just say that. But they marry someone totally different. So women that are in this industry, they know how to, I wouldn't say campaign, but maybe commercialize their sexuality, their seductiveness, their beauty.
Look at me. It's like, no, wrong. Those women online displaying themselves, they're succubi. They're not human. You're a fool if you think that's human. You're a fool. At minimum, it's a machine-human hybrid. A woman doesn't appear in a million places at the same time. Whatever that is, that's not a woman.
Yeah, what do you make of the OnlyFans dynamic between men and women? The more I look at this, the more I'm getting freaked out. There was a woman named...
Well, you have to stop looking then. Isn't that...
Well, looking at it truly through a research lens, but...
Yeah.
Belle Delphine, I believe is her name. Back in 2020, she sold 10 million pounds worth of her bath water.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
The Whore of Babylon has a cup full of liquid, by the way, in gold, a gold cup full of liquid that she offers the world.
Really?
Absolutely. Look at how wonderful this is. It's actually, what does it say in the book of Revelations? It's filled with the filth of her abominations. God. Perfect.
So what is that? It's people wanting to consume that thing they can't have, that they have
Definitely.
idolized?
Of course. It's people wanting to consume the thing that is denied to them because they hid their light under a bushel.
Because they hid who they could become
Yes.
from themselves and never pursued it.
Sure. And so they're not attractive to themselves or anyone else.
Holy
Absolutely.
So basically, you get average looking dude, average Joe. He has, like I said, his wife. His wife is maybe a plain Jane. Nothing wrong with plain Janes. Nothing wrong with average Joes. The regular people. They go throughout life. Their relationship is a little stale. It gets a little bored. He goes and maybe to a store, or he sees a billboard with a beautiful woman. Then he starts seeing the same woman in the magazines. Then he looks on the internet. He sees that, oh, she does movies. She's on OnlyFans. He gets engaged with the image of her. His mind is wrapped around her. Forget about his wife. I mean, yeah, she's there, but my mind is focused on this beautiful image that I see. So he's engaged with that image, right? And he becomes engulfed with it to the point to where it becomes an addiction. He has to see her. He doesn't care about sleeping with his wife. He wants to go in the other room and jack off at this particular picture or this porn movie, right? So he is already, his mind is already focused and zoned in on this image. And all of it is just a beautiful trap. It's like delicious poison. That's why a lot of marriages and relationships, you know, I'm not saying all, but some get into this place to where there is no return. They start searching for things that's outside of their marriage because they're looking for something beautiful, something alluring, and it's only a trap. So they mess up their marriage. The plain wife decides, oh, you know, I'm going to go on my way. I'm taking the kids. Now the marriage is destroyed. Your kids are blaming you because you have an addiction. You put so much time and energy in an image, in a thing that you can never have, because you know if this woman saw you, she will walk right past you. She wouldn't even look your way. But in your mind, in that time, she's yours. And that's how a lot of images, men and women, get entrapped. Because we're looking at an image and we don't know these people behind this image that they're showing. Just like Jordan Peterson said, we don't even know if these are real people. These could be AIs. These could be something abnormal, like alien or some kind of, you know, weird spiritual thing going on. I know some people don't believe in all that, but you have to be very careful that you don't get entrapped with the images in this beauty, because the beauty can be a trap. And it goes with women as well.
Shit. Okay.
Oh,
so
yes, that's for sure. Oh, yes. Brutal.
So you've got women ascending to a position of power with that weird dynamic of postmodernism. They've been given a gift of being able to persuade men through their beauty to do what they will to get the attention that they want. Now, as a mechanical hybrid, they're able to appear in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of places.
Sit on the chests of men and take their essence from them.
And then men are hiding their potential away from themselves,
Partly
which
because
also
they're punished for.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But then that gives them an excuse for not doing it, because they think, well, the young guys, let's say, who decide to be useless, you know, some of it's genuine response to not being encouraged and to being punished. Some of it is, but some of it's pretty convenient. It's like, you don't have to put your cross on your shoulder. It's like, no one wants me to do that anyways. It's like, well, yeah, that's always been the case. And I mean, in some ways, you know, there's new impediments to striding forward confidently, but there's always been impediments.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I train anybody that will listen that you need to have beliefs in your life. And since facts are overwhelming, it's not about recognizing what's true. It's about recognizing what's useful. Is how I think of it. So you have a set of beliefs, you have a set of values, so you have hierarchy. What
Useful
matters
in
to me?
relationship to the right end. That's
Correct. 1,000%, which is why I always lead with, you have to have a goal, and that goal needs to be honorable.
Yeah.
So you've got
you see, so the thing is, that's where your God lies.
This is where I'm going.
Your God lies in the ineffable extent of what you regard as useful.
Yes.
So imagine that useful tilts in a direction. The sum total of all that would be most properly useful. The essence of that's the God. That's the implicit God.
Yeah, I'm realizing I have built from the ground up a system that is designed to do all the things that religion does. It's really interesting. This to me it's fascinating, because whenever you discover the same thing from multiple different disciplines, you can be pretty sure you're converging on the truth, because everybody's just going, what actually works? But the last part of my cocktail is rules. So you need rules in your life. Basically, there need to be things that you don't do.
That's good. That's good. That's exactly right. That's where conscience. So you can imagine the Spirit of God in the Old Testament makes himself manifest in two forms: calling and conscience. And conscience is what you just described. It's like the guardrails.
Yeah, I think that's something that God gives every human being. He gives us a conscience. And so that conscience lets us know when we are feeling shame about something that we did wrong. It makes us feel prideful when we feel like we're doing something right. Conscience is something that every human being has. Some people just choose to ignore their conscience, because we all were given free will. And with us all having free will, everybody was instilled with some type of conscience. Some people just ignore theirs more than others. Mika said, porn releases dopamine in the brain that alters people's sense of reality. It's like a drug that causes a person to continue to seek out what caused that pleasure. Correct. And that is why it does lead to addiction. And that goes for anything. If it's sex, if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, it can be caffeine, it could be a lot of different things on the reason why people go into addiction. And it's that dopamine that gives you that, it's that, hormone in you that gives you pleasure when it's set, when that's set off, it's just like, wow, I gotta have that feeling again. So that's what porn does for some people. And I'm going to stop there. If you would like to go and see the rest of this is porn and OnlyFans are worse than you think. Brutal advice for women and men. Jordan Peterson, and his name is Tom BU. I think it's a French name, I believe. I can't pronounce it, but if you see it down here, subscribe to him. He has also some really good content, but a lot of people do have seared conscience, which basically means their conscience is very limited and sometimes null and void because they choose to ignore it blatantly. They don't care, basically, what they do and how they affect other people, or even how they affect themselves. So that is unfortunate. I'm going to share this video with you, and then I'm going to open my panel. Please, if I do open my panel, please don't come up here going off on a tangent on the other subjects that I am not talking about. I'm just going to show you some people that have been in the porn industry that died at a very young age. And most of it was either their self-harm or they unalived themselves. So I'm going to share that with you just so you can see it. And so it is more that is added to that list just in the last couple of years. This was a while back, but there are more. There was one porn star that died recently. I think her name was Jessie James or something like that. She had a drug overdose. So a lot of these people that are in this type of lifestyle, they live a very sad life. Like I said, a lot of the times their life is full of regrets. Right, CX. Sometimes it's with some of these people are with the occult, and sometimes this is just something, a means to an end, and they feel like this is the only way because they don't want to work a 9 to 5, you know. And this is unfortunate, and I don't want to be judgmental of any of these people that have lost their lives because a lot of the times, again, we don't know what people have experienced in life. And for me to say, well, they should have did this, they should have did that, to me, is not a good thing to do because, again, I don't know what people have been through. I don't know what people have went through. I don't know all of the pain, all of the abuse these people may have experienced. So it behooves a lot of people to just keep your mouth quiet and on a lot of things because some things that you don't understand, you know, we have so many opinions and it's okay to have an opinion, but at the same time, making your opinion to where it's just like, well, I feel, you know, and they should do this and do that. To me, you're out of line. You don't know people. You don't know people. You don't know their situation. Again, the young lady that I was talking about earlier, the Phillips lady, the young lady that slept with 100 men in a day. Apparently she's hurting. Apparently she's going through some mental issues right now. And she really needs somebody to talk to, somebody she needs to talk to. She either needs to talk to someone, she needs somebody to let her know, hey, regardless of what you've been doing, you still a valuable person. You're not trash. Again, what are the valuable basic needs of any human being is love, shelter, you know, someone that will listen to you and some, you know, food, you know, things. Those are some of the basic needs as human beings that we need. And some people feel like they haven't had that and some people never did, you know, so, or sometimes they've been in some situations to when they were a child and it affects them as they're an adult. So I have put my link at the top. Anybody that would like to come up, like I said, tomorrow I will be going over why are Black women the last to be married. That's going to be the part 2 that because we started part 1 on the other day. So I do want to finish that off. I feel like that was a very good, hey Smitty, that was a very good live that a lot of people were engaged in. We had some disturbance in there, but it still was all good. Like I said, if you come up here, stay on the topic. If not, I'm gonna have to have you to escort to stay. I'm gonna have to escort you to stage left. Not finna You know, these people out here, they try to run, so you run your stuff. So don't come up here with no foolishness or you going to get booted. Hey, Genesis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Just fine. What would you like to add to this subject?
Wonderful. Hey, chat. Hey, everybody. Yeah, once again, Selena, you bring the hot button topics to the platform. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So how do you feel about this?
I have a few thoughts. The two things that come to mind for me is Kirk Franklin, when he admitted that he had a porn addiction, and he really struggled with it, because apparently he had thrown away all of his pornographic magazines in the dump, and went home and thought he was free and clear of that affliction, only to have himself drive to the dump and dive into the dumpster, rummaging through the dumpster to retrieve his porn magazines and tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that stood out for me when he told that story. And the second one that stood out for me was Jenna Jameson. Not sure if anyone's familiar with her, but she was a huge porn star in space. And I think she was one of the biggest, most successful porn stars at the time. And then she ended up having a downfall. You know, she ended up getting divorced. She was married to Tito Ortiz. He's I think he's a UFC champion. And she ended up getting divorced. He ended up suing her for custody of their twins. He ended up getting the kids. She ended up moving in with her father. She lost all of her money, and she ended up with some addictions that she had to go to rehab for. So it never ends well. It never ends well, and I think that porn, it's a realistic it's an unrealistic world, and it has unrealistic expectations of the common man and woman, because there's no way that, as you said, the average Joe or the average woman can live up to that. It's all a fantasy, and it's all a
Yeah.
and it's ruined many lives. It's definitely ruined many lives. And getting back to what you were saying about the man who's married, yet he has his wife in one room, who's a perfectly regular lady, but yet he's fantasizing about some woman that he can't attain. And there's friction in that marriage as well. But I think too that the majority of these porn stars are interfered with at an earlier age, and their view on sex and sexuality and love and relationship is very much skewed. And then they end up in that in an environment where they're taken advantage of, they're used, they think it's all glitz and glamour, and then come to find out it's not. You end up dehumanizing yourself.
I agree with you. And she, like I was showing you some of these people here, they really dehumanize themselves to the point to where, sometimes some people don't even see them as humans, right? But when you see the young lady and she was so emotional, at first she was kind of smiling like, yeah, everything is good. And then all of a sudden she just started crying, because this stuff really does affect people, whether people think it does or not. It's not just, oh, I'm just watching a porn today. Well, you're watching a porn today, but do you realize what these people are putting themselves through to get this movie out? Like this really is like, I don't know. And it affects not only the people that are watching it in some capacities. Like I said, anything too much is not good. So if you watch it every now and then, hey, that's on you. It may not be a problem for you. But some people do have an addiction kind of personality to where anything they can get addicted to. So they're focusing in on this porn, and it really starts to get into their real life. Young Riaz, okay, I'm gonna let you up for a few minutes, okay? And then we're gonna have to jump down, okay?
Okay.
So, but it does affect them in a lot of different ways, and people don't realize that it does affect your spiritual as well as sometimes mental, I think. So go ahead, Riaz.
I agree with you. Also, that I did research into it. Also damages your soul as well, because basically how it is though. Your heart, right? Sometimes depending on how bad your deeds are, and I'm not here to judge. It is basically there's a black mark, right? Like basically, the more and more bad that is done, the more and more it spreads. And when it spreads, that black heart will basically block your connection to your creator, though. And I ain't judging, no. And to me, I just feel like it's wrong period, though. But I'm not gonna stop anyone, though. That's just to me. And I also feel like it damages your soul because it's not real. And basically, though, when you actually do marry someday, you're gonna make you and the person feel bad because it's not just a soul tie, though. You're basically damaging your own mindset, though, as well. So your own mental is basically damaged, though. That's why I feel like it's not good. And also, there is a dark side as well, where like people who are in that industry, they have seen, you know, like other spirits, or they have seen these, you know, beings called jinns, or jinns in Arabic is demons, though. So they've seen legit demons though in front of them when they do it, and when they see that, they feel it too, and they're literally surprised by all that. So that's why I feel like it's not good, though. Like, yes, I agree with, you know, what you're both saying, though. That's just what I take from it, though.
Okay, I agree with I do agree with that. Looking at Mika, what she was saying, she said, yeah, it's the love of money, material wealth that's pushed them towards the porn, also causes fast money, right? But it also, I like she was saying, I believe that it does. There has to be some type of form, and most people don't believe in this because they don't even believe in God or a devil. But I do believe there is some type of demonic possession that takes place in order to do some of these sex acts, like having someone urinate in your mouth, okay, or urinate on you, you know, the golden shower thing, or see, that's a special type of mindset for me, okay, because anybody that would ask me to do that, first of all, I wouldn't deal with nobody like that. But then if, say for instance, if I dealt with somebody that seemed like, oh, he was a Prince Charming, he was very nice, a gentleman, and then he would ask me to do something like that, I would run for the hills. Like it wouldn't take anything for me to just be like, this is sick and it's weird. Okay. It's too much. A lot of the time, some of the OnlyFans, they go to Dubai and they perform these type of sexual acts, or allow these sexual acts to be, you know, done to them for the money. Like Mika was saying, the fast money, the wealth, the traveling, the fame that you get from people knowing your name. And they go into these countries that to me is dehumanizing a woman, urinating on them, or even you know, having a bowel movement on them. And I think that is extremely sick. And I've heard some women that I can't go back to the video, but it was a video to where it was a woman that was paid. She went over to Dubai. I think she was a black lady. She went over there to Dubai and she was paid to eat feces.
Wow.
So this is some really strange stuff that people are doing in the name of, you know, adult entertainment. So it really makes me wonder what type of mindset, besides wanting money and wanting fame, you know, and all of this, what type of mindset would get you okay with doing something like that? So it brings me back to what Mika was saying. It has to be a form of demonic possession. And people say, well, just because you can't explain it doesn't mean it's demonic. That is true. But that type of mindset is something that is sick, it's distorted, and it's evil. So only a demon or a jinn, as you would say in your culture, would play.
Yeah, but I also can explain this as well, though, with the jinn. There's good and bad jinns just like us, you know? They're basically, the jinns is just like us, but like they're different beings as well. So you got like different groups of them, and some of those jinns are Muslim, Christian, Jew. They're just like us, though, anyway. It's just that, you know, they're just different from us, and there's like a barrier right here. So they can see you, but you can't see them, because these eyes are not made to see certain things. That's why. And also, to me, what you explained there is correct as well. But then also like this as well for some people though who feel disconnected from the spiritual aspect or the religious aspect. Okay, we can remove that out of the equation for now. Let's say that in that sense though. Forget that bit though. Imagine yourself though. That like if you don't believe in God, no problem. But what about you though? How do you see yourself though? How the shame of other people, knowing what you did, because that comes with a cost. Look, with that quick money also comes with a lot of problems though. So it all comes with a cost. Yeah, you have a lot of money, but at what cost though? And people knowing what type of thing you did, and also like how your reputation is and how your children and your family will be affected from this. And people who are in that industry, probably their family and their children kind of look at them a certain way, like like part of them is kind of mad, not mad but more like disappointed though.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I believe there's a lot of shame, and in that shame, that basically tortures a lot of people's minds when they have experienced all of this shame, because they're constantly reminded of what they did. And every person that they're interacting with, they're thinking, oh, did this person see this? Did this person see when I did this on this movie? So I think they're constantly being tormented mentally, because of the shame, the things that they did, the things that they really regret. And that's why people that say they have no regrets in life, I can't say that. I'm not going to say I have a lot of regrets with my body, of course, but I definitely have had some regrets. So I'm pretty sure if I was in this lifestyle, I would definitely have a lot of regrets because of what I put my body into. So it's really sad. And like I said, my heart goes out to these people, not to judge them and be like, you're the worst person in the world, you're nasty, you're this, you're that, but to actually look at them as a human being and say, my heart goes out to you. Even though this was your choice, this was something that, you had free will. It has to be something that has happened. It has to be some emptiness that you felt like you had to do this. But I appreciate you, Young Riaz, for coming up. Thank you for giving me
You're
insight.
welcome. Okay, you're welcome. I got you though.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Bye. Hi, Mel. What's good? So so you saw what I was talking about with the nasty woman sleeping with 100 Jews, then crying afterwards. Actually, I found this. I can't remember when you said it, but I found this one today when I was just surfing the internet, and I was just like, what other topic can I talk about that would be meaningful? And when I went, one of the people that I'm subscribed to is called Kareem Allord, and she talks about a lot of different subjects. And this one here, I always wanted to talk about it, but I was just like, oh, how can I really get into this? Without people, people are going to think any kind of way. Look, it is what it is. A lot of people watch porn. And again, I'm not telling people whether to watch it or not. That's on you. I think a lot of something is too much. So that's just my opinion. But I don't try to tell people what they should do with their lives. Everybody has a different way of seeing things. But what I do want to do is inform people of what is going on, that there is somebody's child out there. And this young lady looked like she was about 19, maybe in her early 20s. So she hasn't, I don't even think she's even her mind or brain has been developed all the way, and like I said, she's a young lady. There's a lot of immaturity. She doesn't see that when she gets older, that she's going to really regret this in her life. Like, she's going to really regret this because all of the testimonies that you'll see of women and men that have been in this lifestyle, they have had a lot of regrets. It's only very few women and men that I've heard that are okay with it. And we don't really know if they're really okay with it, or is it just something to make it sound good in front of other people. So we have to remember that too. But I've seen so many stories of people that have had been in the same lifestyle, and they get in their 40s and even in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, and they're like, I have so much regret. I wish I never did this. I wish I never did that. They have a hard time trusting people because they don't know, did this person see this movie? You know, do they think I'm still a slut? Do they think I'm still trash? So there's so many things that go through these people's minds when they're dealing with relationships. So they don't trust people because because of their lifestyle, the things that they've done. And when I saw it, I was just like, this would be a great thing to talk about. And the weird thing about it, when she started crying about it, there I could feel she has some remorse and some shame about it. But then she still says that she wants to do where she sleeps with 1,000 men in one day. So she wants to go from 100 men to 1,000. So there's something that it's like it's an emptiness there. It's something that it's not clicking in her head. She knows, she has some remorse because she cried about it, but it's not getting to her heart to where it's like, okay, I need to not do this. From what, just looking at the interview, the documentary, I can feel that she knows that this is not normal or right, because why would she cry? Why would she be like, this is not for everyone. This is not for the faint at heart. That's what she said. You think it's money? It could be. But honey, if I have to do that to get the money, I'm not going to be able to do it. I have to really like you, love you, attracted to you all the way for me to sleep with you. So just imagine any Tom and Dick and Harry coming off the street that did an application and then sleep with them. Like, that's just crazy to me. Genesis, I don't want to over talk. Anybody else, you're welcome to come up and join the panel. Go ahead, Genesis.
Yeah, thank you for the correction, Selena, because I had heard that it was 1,000 men in a day. And I didn't even really believe the story because I thought that was so outrageous.
Yeah.
It's 100 men, and now you're saying that she wants to bump it up to
1,000.
900 more. But I don't know. I think she's still quite immature because you said
yes,
she does look like she's under 25, right? And even when she said that when she was in the throes of it with the gentleman, and I think she said by the 13th man, she was getting a little tired. She was and I think one person was there for like 2.5 minutes and she wanted to stop. And he said, but wait a minute, you promised me 5 minutes. And then in her immature way, she was like, well, if I promise somebody something, then I have to go through with it and I have to do it, right? But I did the math, and 24 divided by 100, that's 4 minutes and 16 seconds per man. If she was actually gonna, do the whole thing where she did the time frame correctly. Now listen, even in your intimate relationship, when you're with one person, after a good, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes, I mean, you're tired.
Right.
And you love this person that you're with, and you've been, and you and him have been, in the throes of passion before. But I mean, can you imagine 100 men in a day?
Shoot, that just makes me tired already. I'm like, girl, she better than me.
She's gonna be worn out. She's gonna be worn out, and we don't even know how did she vet these men? Did they, provide their medical history? Did they come in saying, okay, I'm clean of this, that, and what have you? I mean, was she safe? That's 100 different type of energies that this young lady's taken into her system. There's no possible way that she can rise up clean, for lack of a better, phrase. And I mean, clean morally, emotionally, physically. I mean, she might be clean financially, but again, what is she going to do with that money? And every time she purse, a pair of shoes, a blouse, or whatever, she's going to know that bodily fluids bought this for her. She didn't work a regular 9 to 5 or a corporate job or whatever. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, she's going to have a lot of moral issues to deal with. And I think I got the impression that maybe she thought this was going to be fun, and she'll blow up the internet, and she'll go on to become an influencer in some way.
Right.
It didn't work out for her. It just did, and there is no way in God's green earth it could ever work out for her. It's just so many levels. And I wondered, does this young lady have anyone in her life that's advising her, that's, you know, I don't know, guiding her some way, because it's not going to end well for her.
It's not going to. Hey, Mel, you can talk. I'm about to I need to go to the ladies' room, and you can keep talking, Mel, if you would like to engage.
I'm tired of being your bathroom break, Selena. Every time I come up, Selena said, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I'm sorry. I just have to do that real quick. Okay. Keep talking. You and Miss Genesis. Hey, TP.
Hey, greetings to you, Miss Genesis, one I hadn't seen you in a while.
Hey, Mel, how are you? I haven't seen you in ages. I have been sharing out your stuff. I hope you know. I hope you see.
Oh, no, I'm always, no. I've always appreciated everything you've done in supporting the content that I do. You're an awesome person, and thank you just for being you. So, yeah. So while my phone is about to go out and I'm on my way home, I wanted to share something. And anytime I pop up and I share a story, I know some people, they over exaggerate life stories, and you can tell somebody is lying, or they always got to inject their story in. So I never want to be that person. But anytime I say tell a story or tell an event that happened, I won't say a story is a lie, but tell an event that happened in my life, it is the God honest truth. So this is kind of talking about what you guys are talking about. This is why I learned that you can't save hoes. Excuse my language, but this is what I learned. So I was in college, and my girlfriend was staying with me, and her brother was staying with me. We all went to this Christian university, but she was visiting at my apartment. I lived off campus. So her brother had this friend, and this friend, she was, she's kind of out there. Well, her brother was at this party with this friend, and this friend was about to get ran through, if you know what I mean, by several guys. She became completely inebriated. So what my girlfriend did was she got in my car, drove and picked the girl up, brought her to my apartment. And we all tried to have this come to Jesus moment with her to sober her up and help her understand, what these boys were trying to do. And these boys were going to try to fight my girlfriend's brother because he came and took this girl away.
Wow.
So we're like, I felt like a big brother to her, because I'm ended up in 4:00 in the morning taking her back on campus because she wasn't supposed to be off campus. And I'm giving her this big brother conversation about, valuing your body and what almost happened because you were drunk. And this is why I don't get sloshed like that. But getting to the point. So at that time, I also worked as a cashier at Walmart, and Walmart was right across the street from the campus. And so that happened on a Thursday. On a Sunday, I'm in working as a cashier. Guess who comes through my line with a box of condoms and wearing pajamas because she's going to a pajama party?
Wow.
The same girl we thought we had rescued. So what I'm saying about this is that situation with that girl crying, it went completely deaf to me. And when she said that she would do it again with 1,000 people, that was just a desperate bit of attention. And like I said, and I don't mean to say it flippantly, because boys can be hoes too, but we can't be out here trying to rescue women from their ways, because I feel like, and I'm going to say this a little bit controversially, I think sex partners wear on women a lot more than they wear on men. That in terms of you can see it wear on the women a lot more than you can see it wear on the men, because women are internally, men are externally. And my mom used to say it's always been easy for men to wipe it off than for women to clean it out, if that makes sense. So this woman is going to carry 100 men with her for the rest of her life, and no matter what kind of person she falls in love with, that man, if he is a family man, he's an oriented man, he's a man who believes in principle, he's going to carry that in the back of his mind or deep down in his soul internally, and he's going to take that out on her whenever they have problems, in my opinion.
Hey, She-Wolf. Thank you. I heard mostly everything that you said, Mel. I wanted to ask you, with you being a man, when you were younger, were you if you don't mind,
I'm an open book.
Okay, were you into porn? Hey,
Yeah.
Cutting Edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was.
Were you
And
addicted, like to the point to where it was something that you had to look at?
I would say never had to look at, but it was something that was a habit that I developed over time because I was somewhat isolated. I didn't really start dating until I was 17 or 18 years old.
Right.
So, and I can remember when I was introduced to it, and I can remember how I was introduced to it, and it became a devil in some sense. But in terms of how people are addicted to it in certain ways that that they have to keep keep it around them. Nah, I was never like that, but it was a habit. I will say that, and I think I can tell you it is a sick industry. Why it's legal, I don't know. Why it's still legal, I have no idea. And it opens up so many devil doors. I cannot tell you when I was looking at it, like I said, I can tell you honestly, I don't do that anymore. And that's a lot. Of course, everybody's going to say that, but I honestly don't, because as I got married, I grew up. So, and that's just not what we do in our household. And but I've seen, when I was watching, it opened up to the doors of some of the most sadistic, satanic things, and when people weren't even looking for it. So imagine how that door opens up into someone who's a sociopath or a perverted person, where they emulate relationships with men and young girls, or old women and young boys and things like that, feeding the evil of the mind, so to speak. I don't understand why it's legal.
Okay. So what age, hey, King of the, was it Hearth? No, King of the Earth. Thank you for joining me. What age were you when you stopped looking at porn? Or what was it that you found was like, this is the devil, I can't do this anymore? Like, was it when you got married, or was it a little bit before you got married?
A little bit before. So it started, so like I said before, you go to something natural, and then it delves into something deeper, then it delves into something deeper, and and I'm not saying that I went there per se, or people I know who went there per se, but I'm saying like things will pop up, and it's like, wow, that's really part of it. So when I saw that stuff, that's when I'm like, wow, this is a sick industry, because I was apathetic to it initially, but the more I look at it, and the more I started maturing in my mid-20s, I started to realize just how the debauchery of it, if that makes sense.
Do you think that the effects of porn, did it affect your marriage in any kind of way? Did it?
No, by that time I had matured. I had long matured past that. I got married in my early 30s, and that's the other thing as well too, is I can't fathom whether it be a male or a female who's addicted to it, that they could fulfill their duties as a husband or a wife fully to their spouse, because you should be, when you really love your spouse or love someone, and you want to make that intimate moment the best, you have to be able to give all your all to that person, because you love them and you appreciate them. And I feel like when you have porn involved, you take away a little bit of that, if that makes sense.
Yes, because I was talking about how porn is very robotic. And so when people are looking at this as something like a fantasy that they wish they had in their real life, I'm like, you just don't know. This is acting in a lot of ways too. So it's like these people, most of the time, they're not really enjoying it. It's just they're making them sounds, and they're sounding like, oh, this is really fun, when it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can't see how somebody can have pleasure being with 100 people, like male or female.
Me neither.
I don't, and like I said, I had some rough moments in my, in my 20s there, where I had a little bit too much fun here or there. But then at the same time, I just don't see how you can jump from person to person to person to person in the same succession. That's
Right.
just, I don't know, but here's the thing, Selena. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm honest up here, and I'm being as honest as possible up here. There's a lot of people when you have this conversation, they know and they think more than what they actually are going to say. And that's the reality, because it's become such a taboo thing to talk about, where we should be able to have an open and honest conversation that can help other people. But it's hard pressed to get, especially people who are really dug down into that addiction. And I've known some folks who have been. The person who introduced me to it, I think, is because they were really dug down into it and probably still dug down into it. But no one's going to be really honest about it, unfortunately.
So did another boy introduce you, or girl introduce you to the porn?
Yeah, it was. I was 13 years old. Yep. And I remember that, and it was just like, and that person was a bad influence with me all the way around. It wasn't any of my brothers. It was somebody else, and I should have stayed connected to my brothers in my unit, because they would have never put me in that position.
Mm. So let me ask you this: with that happening, I think you have boys, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with your boys growing up, and I think they start probably 10, 11, their bodies start changing.
Yeah.
They're getting those, as they call it, the wet dreams. How do you teach your boys maybe not to go into that type of, addiction, or go into that type of, avenue of discovering porn and all of that? Like, how do you...
Selena, how can you teach what was never taught to you? So and so
Okay.
one of the unfortunate failures that I will say from my parents, and my parents were great to me and my brothers, but one of the unfortunate things was, as I said before, that's such a taboo subject. That's something you don't want to talk to your kids about. That's something you don't want to, because you feel like, in one sense, if you talk, because I'm going through it now and how to approach that, if you talk to them about it, are they going to want to explore it? Are they going to, just by curiosity? But then at the same time, I recently had to have that M word discussion. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
With my sons, and it never ever occurred to me that was a conversation I needed to have, until I think it was something I was watching on television. And I said, I need to talk to them about, like, who can touch what and what can be touched, and how to approach things if something happens. So we sat down and we had a good conversation about it, because they're immature, but then they are old enough that they get it. So honestly, Selena, I'm tell you right now, as a dad, I don't know. And I maybe somebody else can come up, and if they want to say this is how they talk to their kids about it. But my parents were old school, and it's just one of them things that we just ain't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. King of the Earth says there's no sin in swinging, as long as it's never claimed as an excuse for divorce, because it's not adultery, because all agree. So the claim of divorce for adultery is having a three-way, and later is null. Okay.
Well, the Bible speaks clearly on, if you for what you think in your or what you think, or in your head, or so you do with your heart, or something of that nature. But then also I will disagree with the brother, because I do believe that it is a sin, because the Bible does talk about lust, not lusting, and that is a form of lust. So, I think we can all, agree that we've had those shortcomings.
Right. Mm-hmm. I agree. It's really, hey, everybody has their own opinion. A lot of people do not believe in God. A lot of people do not believe in the Bible. I understand that. That's your prerogative. But I know for me, kind of coming up the way I was brought up, there's just certain things that I just know from what I've been taught, that, and even in my conscience that I have, that was given to me, just as a human being, some things I just feel like is wrong. in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and like I said, it leads you down it can lead you down a dark road. So let me put it this way: any and every single thing conceivable to the mind regarding sex, whether it be men and women, men and men, women and women, multiple men, multiple women, all these other sorts of things. Any thought of the mind is out there on the internet. I mean, people with animals. That's what I meant by it taking people down a dark road.
Right.
Any conceivable demonic thing you can do with God's beautiful blessing of intimacy. It's on it can be found on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to do something about it. I don't know. So Selena,
Yeah.
you should take a poll in here and ask people like who in here has never watched porn or something, just something like to see, because it's more common than people think.
Hey Ryan. Hey O Speaks. Yeah, that would be a good idea to get people's opinion. I gotta see, how do I go about I forgot how to do it. Let me see if I can do a poll. Please press the like button. I truly would appreciate everyone that will press the like button. Thank you so much.
Saludo Speaks.
Okay, let me see. See how many people have watched porn. Was it do I say how many people or what? What?
I would say have you ever watched porn? Have you watched porn at least once in your life for pleasure?
Least.
That was
Yeah.
pleasure versus curiosity, right?
That's why I said Genesis. That's why I said I wanted to make sure of that. Yeah.
Least watched. You said porn. Okay, y'all keep talking. Go ahead, Miss Genesis.
Yeah, getting back to what you were saying, Mel, about having that talk with your boys about the self pleasure, and when your body produces liquids in your sleep and you wake up overnight with heat sheets, as Selena said. I think it's so important to have that conversation. And given the world that we live in now, it seems as if parents need to have that conversation earlier and earlier. Because I remember when I had that, the sex talk with my parents, and I was maybe 13. And I think the environment has to be an open environment where they're able to talk about it and ask questions. And yeah, they're going to be a little bit immature about it because clearly they don't know. But I think it's so important just for parents on a whole to have that environment where it's an open environment, a respectful environment, an environment where their kids can feel they can ask about anything. And it's important to have. It's going to be uncomfortable. You might not necessarily have the words, but I would encourage everyone to have that conversation as opposed to not having the conversation and then maybe waiting a little later. Because again, I mean, there's so many things on the internet that they're open to, and they might not necessarily seek it out for themselves. They might just be on the internet, watching whatever, and then something just pops up out of nowhere. So yeah, I just think
Yeah,
encouraging all people.
Genesis. I have to monitor because my kids are trying. I'm fighting like hell against it. They're trying to get into that whole Roblox and Minecraft zone or wherever that stuff is at, and I'm trying to tell them, it's not good psychologically for them. But one of the other things that I haven't told them yet is people go in there in those chats and they try and they pose as young people, and this is how they prey on young people, but also this is how they get away with bullying young people into because I was thinking about doing a live on teenage suicides, because chat rooms or whatever those places are, they are some of the leading causes of where suicides happen for teens, because you got some 20-something-year-old telling them to kill themselves, so we got to have I'm all ears if you know how to have that conversation. Like I said, the best way for me to have that conversation.
I think you need to start off with, that this is an environment where we can talk about anything. You can come to me and talk to me about anything and truly mean it. Because I mean, I'll take it like my own example. And my parents have said that, and when I've come, when I was younger, and said, and they kind of freaked out of it. I'm like, well, wait a minute, you told me I could talk about anything. So I think as a parent, it's up to us to sort of, buffer that response and be prepared, because they will come with you with anything and everything, not necessarily what they're thinking about, but maybe what they've heard, what a friend or other friends have experienced or whatnot. So the best thing I can encourage all parents to do is to just have an open environment for your kids to come and talk to you about it. Make it safe for them to come and talk to you about anything, even though you might be feeling the heebie-jeebies inside, but they need to know that they can come and talk to you about anything, because trust and believe you me, if that is not the foundation, there's a Tom, Dick, or Harry, Jennifer, or Joe out there that's going to drag your kids into all manner of, stuff.
And that's what happened with me as a 13-year-old.
Can I ask you this one question? Do you think that porn can bring some couples together and make their sex life?
Hell
Okay.
no. Hell no. Because if you have to imagine or visualize someone else as, while you're giving pleasure to your spouse, nah, that's like people saying if they bring a third person into their bedroom, it's going to spice up their marriage. No, all it's going to do is going to make somebody jealous, and it's going to make a lot of uncertainty. No way at all. And if you are out there and you are married and you believe that it will bring you said O Speaks believes it can. I'd be curious to. I don't think it can. No.
Oh, Speaks, if you're available, can you please come up? Because I'm kind of curious about that, because that's pretty interesting. I need somebody that will be the opposite of what they're saying, because I want to know why it would be. If it could be for some couples and some couples not, maybe. So I'm very curious about that. If you have time and you can, would you please come up? Let me say, I think
it can in some instances.
I gotta. How so?
I think it can. I mean, if you're into role play, I mean, now I'm not talking about the hardcore stuff, right? I'm talking about the soft porn, where you can get into role playing. I think that can enhance your sex life. That instance, yes, I think it can enhance your sex life if you're taking, some sort of like role playing tips from what you're watching. Now, again, the hardcore stuff, nobody can learn anything from that hardcore stuff. That's going to lead you down to a road of destruction. So I think it can.
Okay. Well, hey Darren, how are you? Thank you for coming through. Please make sure you guys vote. And I want to get your perspective on the poll. Maybe some people have, watched porn once in their life. Maybe some people have not. I, for one, I was sheltered, but I wish I was more sheltered, because there's some things that I wish I never, saw as a child that kind of affected me in some ways, because it's like some of the things you should know at 5, you should know at 10. You know what I'm saying? We know our bodies are going to change and things are going to happen, but hormonally, but there's certain things that children should not see. I had a cousin that used to be into pornographic pictures and stuff like that. And he lived with my grandparents as well, but he lived in another house on my grandparents' property. And I would be nosy and go over in his house when he wasn't there, and he would have those pornographic pictures, and I was like, what is this? As a kid, you don't know what the hell is going on. And when you see this, it's really like it's a shift in your mindset, because you You used to maybe seeing, you know, grandma with her, you know, nightgown on, but you ain't never seen nothing, you know, that was like full bodies naked or something like that, you know, as a child. So that was a shock to my psyche, and it made me even more curious on bodies and stuff like that, and what is this and what is that. And I would ask a lot of questions. And of course, you know, if you're living with older people do not talk about things like that, you know. And you know, they kind of just, girl, don't talk about that, that's nothing for a child, you know. So they'll kind of shy you away from that, and then you just started asking older children, well, what is this, why does it do this, and all this kind of stuff. So it does make you become very curious at an early age when you shouldn't be. I'll just say that much. But you know, thank God I was never out there like that, but I did have a very curious mind wondering about certain things. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Do I have anybody else that would like to add anything before I get off? Because I guess O Speakers is not gonna come up. So but anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, it's interesting how you drew that correlation to what you saw as a young child to now we're talking about porn. And I think that as you grew up in a family, we see so many instances of sexuality and sex going on within the family dynamics anyway, and yet nobody talks about that. You know, because you might have somebody who's being interfered with in the family. Clearly, people know about it, but nobody wants to talk about it. Or you might who has been interfered with, and they talk about it, but yet that perpetrator is still welcomed at the dinner table. They're still welcomed at family gatherings. So, you know, this thing with sexuality, it really is born in the way the family deals with whatever instances might come up, whether it's someone being interfered with, whether it's how you talk to your kids about what your bodies are going to go through, or just, you know, sexuality on a whole, because it's important that you have that conversation regardless of however a parent might feel about it or members of the family might feel about it, because again, it's going to be something that's going to affect them for the entire duration of their life. And if we don't start out with healthy sexual ideas, healthy sexual habits, it's going to be a debauchery. It's going to be a debauchery. Ladies, young ladies on here wanting to sleep with 100 men. You're going to have men out here trying to live up to a fantasy of being a stud, not realizing that 9 times out of 10, these porn stars are taking Viagra. These women are drugged up, and everything is nobody can have an orgasm like that. There's no way that can happen. Right. And that facade that the porn, you know, bleeds into society, that stuff is cut up. You know, it's cut up. It's all, you know, it's filmed a certain way. There's no way that you're lying there. You meet a dude, you go to you have a scenario where you meet somebody and boom, it's like you're in the basket of pleasure. That's crazy. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't.
Right.
No orgasm lasts 24 hours, or else we'd all be dead because our heart couldn't take it.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, I think it's important to just have healthy sexual, you know, encounters. And if you need to deal with whatever trauma that you've been through as a child or an adult, seek out the proper, you know, agencies, the proper healthcare professionals that can help you to overcome that. Because I think it's important that you must have a healthy sex life. I mean, that's just
right.
Or else your relationship is not going to work. It's just not going to work. That's I would say, in my opinion, that's probably 75% of a relationship is having a very, very healthy sex life. That's my thought.
Right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Mel, did you have anything you wanted to add with that?
No. I appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mel. It's always a pleasure. And don't shy away. It's like every time I was like, come on, Mel, so I go to the restroom. But no, Mel adds to my platform, and I really enjoy his insight. So thank you so much, Mel, for coming up.
Yeah, Selena, I think this would be a great live to, like, you know, instead of just having an open panel on it, just specifically let's all open it up and have that conversation, because I think this is one that people are afraid to talk about, but I think it's
Right.
necessary to talk about.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to do. Whether people want to come and see it or not, it is something that is out there. So, and of course, me, I always want to do something totally different. So, like I said, I thought that this was something that is going on in the world. People are really into a lot of different things that we are not aware of. You know what I'm saying? So, it's very interesting, I would say, to talk about this kind of stuff to me, because most people want to shy away from it. So thank you so much for coming up and joining me, Mel. I'm gonna and Miss Genesis, I'm gonna get myself together so that I can go about my day. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, like, share, and subscribe. And please always press the notification button so you'll know the next time that I go live. I do plan on going live tomorrow, God willing. And we're going to be talking about why, part 2, why are Black women the last to be married? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So hopefully you guys will be available on Sunday if you have the time to come through. Show your girl some love. And if you are a new person here and you're still on the fence about subbing up to me, I hope that you would, sub up to me. And, hey, be a part of the family. So thank you so much, guys.
One quick thing before you go, Selena. My apologies for interrupting.
Okay.
For those individuals who may be shy about broaching the subject, you could maybe consider doing another segment for your members only. For those individuals that might be shy about, speaking about it publicly. So that's an idea. That's a thought.
That's a pretty good idea. I didn't think about that. So that's something that I can truly consider. So thank you so much for that. I really do.
Patreon? Do you have Patreon?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Young Riaz. Thank you, Genesis. And also thank my boy Mel. Thank you so much for coming up. I'm going to exit stage left, y'all. Thank you for your participation in the chat. Sorry, I'm talking fast. And I really appreciate you guys for interacting. Again, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you would like to give a cash app, Selena Star. If you'd like to join the memberships are available. And I am going to do a membership live maybe one day, God willing, next week. And that's what I'm going to do. So just keep a lookout for that. And thank you, Darren. I appreciate it. I went to a Christmas party last night, going again to one tonight. So I'm all partied out, really. But thank you, King of Heart, for your participation. Guys, you guys be blessed. Oh, let me see the so 93%. Let me see. Let me check this out. 94% says yes. 6% has said no. So that is a very high percentage of people that have watched porn at least once, right? So, and 6%, which is no. So yes, like I said, I don't care what people say. Images will change your mind. It will change your mindset sometimes. So you have to be very cautious. I always tells you about being cautious of what you put in your eye gates, what you put in your ear gates, because it will somehow affect you in some type of way. It could be positive or it could be bad. So just please be careful about what you entertain. That's just the point of the matter. And just because people are behind the scenes, or they're doing this in this industry, they're somebody's child too. So, never be too judgy or judgmental on someone, because you just never know. Guys, be blessed. Love you to Reese's Pieces. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Selena.
Cliff girl, claim that you changed my world. Damn, you're so fine, girl. Oak Cliff girl, put them heels on and rule my
Welcome to
world.
Selena's Couch, where you are welcome to be free to be yourself. So you can lay your head on my couch, on my pillow.
It's all good, we can do whatever we wanna do now. I'm in my bag right now, and I got a feeling, babe, yeah. You're gonna be my number one lover. Spend the night making love to each other, with the lights on top of the covers, just me and you, babe. And I feel like you're my
Love you to Reese's Pieces.
Get you a word. Nana nana boo boo.